Hello and welcome to Mom Your Way, the podcast for moms who are ready to stop second-guessing themselves and start showing up with calm, confidence, and self-trust. I'm Lauren LaSalle, mentor, mom, and fellow human in the middle of messy motherhood. Around here, we don't do perfection, we do presence. Each week, you'll hear honest conversations, gentle encouragement, and grounded support to help you tune into your own wisdom, care for yourself without guilt, and mother in a way that actually works for you. Because your way is the right way. So let's take a deep breath and begin. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm just getting over having a cold, and you might be able to hear that in my voice a little bit. It was pretty bad for maybe only 2 days, but that's pretty tough when you've got a toddler and a baby. Luckily, I was able to have my husband be with our daughter for a while, and my mom was also able to be with her while the baby was with me most of the time, as he is. And so that was helpful to have other people there so I wouldn't have to be trying to juggle 2 kids while also resting so I can feel better. So anyway, today I want to talk about something that I very recently realized and changed, because I think this is something that happens to so many moms, especially once we have a second child, or maybe even more than a second. Maybe this happens every time you have a baby. I don't know. I only have 2 kids. So anyway, what I want to talk about today is before the baby was born, and really a lot before my 3rd trimester, because that was a very exhausting trimester for me. But so before the baby was born, I was obviously able to spend a lot of quality time with my daughter, who just turned 3 right before the baby was born. And that was so much fun. I really enjoy being with her. She's really funny. She's really bright. She's just such a fun little person to be with. And so once the baby was born, and I'm breastfeeding him, so he nurses a lot. He sleeps on me a lot. And I knew it would be a little more difficult to have that same kind of quality time with my daughter. And plus, like I talked about in last week's episode, just being really tired does not help the situation. It just makes me feel more irritable, more reactive. And luckily, sleep has been pretty good recently for the past week or so. So that's been really good and helpful for my mood and how I interact with, obviously, everybody in my life. And so recently I noticed that a lot of my interactions with my daughter, at least from my point of view, felt very task oriented. So like it felt like our interactions were mostly me telling her what she needed to do, like to get out the door or to clean something up or get ready for lunch or whatever it was. It really felt like I was just telling her, like giving her instructions. And I didn't like that. Once I realized that this is why I felt like our relationship felt a little off, I decided that needed to change, like right away. And I know I'm not the only one who's felt this way. So I thought it would be helpful for other people to bring this up. And if maybe you don't have kids yet, but you're planning on it, or you only have one, but you're planning on having more, I think this is a good thing to be aware of, that it could happen. And it's probably not unusual that it happens. And here are some things that you can do to sort of help the situation. At least this is what I did, and it was very, very helpful. So I find as a mom, as I'm sure so many of us do, we often carry a huge mental load. We are the ones usually that keep track of pretty much everything, and it can really feel overwhelming, and it can be really easy to slip into like manager mode, because you're sort of the manager of the house and of the family a lot of the time. And so it can be easy to be in that mode. especially when you feel like you need to be like, this needs to be done. We need to do this so we can do this. And when you have a baby, it just makes it more difficult to do things in general. And I feel like I have to, especially now that my daughter's 3 and she can do more for herself, like I need to be keeping her going, like help her move along, especially when it comes to leaving the house or getting ready for something, and be guiding her on what she needs to be doing. And so then I can be with the baby. He needs to be held. He needs to be nursed before we leave, whatever it is. But I do often feel like I'm in that manager mode where I'm just trying to run things and not really so much like interact in a more mother-daughter relationship way, if that makes sense. Like it just felt so off to me. And so once I realized that, like I had just felt like our relationship feels off. It feels a little like disjointed. Like I don't feel the kind of connection that we had before. Why is that? And so thinking about it, I realized that we really weren't able to have those kind of, like I said before, those kind of interactions, just one-to-one time doing something that she wanted to do that we were able to have before the baby was born. And so I decided this needs to change. And I'm going to intentionally make sure every day, to the best of my ability, that we get even 10 minutes minimum time together doing something that she wants to do. As long as it's something that works out with the baby, whether he's nursing, sleeping on me, sleeping off of me, it just needs to be something that we can do that also works with his schedule. So it's really hard to balance and do things that make everybody happy at all times. So finding ways to do this when either the baby can be present with us, just sort of hanging out, or sleep is really helpful. And this also made me think about when I was a child therapist. One thing that I often told so many parents is, especially of kids that had like quote unquote behavior issues, to just intentionally set aside even just 10 minutes of time when you are fully present with your child. It can make a huge difference in your relationship. A lot of the times in their behavior, what is seen as acting out behavior can a lot of the time be because they feel like they need more connection and they don't know how to get that. And we've been having a lot of issues with our daughter just not listening, which is just something that 3-year-olds do. It's developmentally normal, but it's very difficult. And I have found that giving her my time, more of my time when I'm fully present with her as much as I can be, has really helped in her behavior. And when I'm asking her to do something, she does respond and follow through better than she had been, which is awesome. And I just feel more connected to her. I hope she feels more connected to me too. I feel better about our relationship. I feel like she's actually my daughter and my little buddy again, not just somebody that I have to keep track of, which does not feel good. It's not a good feeling to feel like you're just trying to like manage somebody. Like I'm her boss, not her mom. And I really want to be her mom again. And so now that we've been able to spend some more quality time together, I feel like I feel more connected. It's just really great. And so some things that we do are reading books. She loves to read books. We draw, we play with Play-Doh, we play a game together. I think it's important to give options, especially if like you're feeling really drained and you don't feel like reading a book, which can happen a lot of the time, to give options. So maybe it feels more doable to play a game or do a puzzle than to sit and read a book. So giving options is great because then they can choose something that works for both of you. And it's really the quality of the time that you spend with them over the quantity of time. So like I was saying, even just 10 minutes, when you're really fully engaging with your child, you're sort of taking their lead, doing what they want to do, and letting them know that you are there, you are fully present with them, it really makes a world of difference. This also makes a big difference with adults. It really works with any age, but especially for kids. They want that connection. They want that presence from their parents. So it's really, really important, especially when we feel like we're constantly rushing and running around to give that to them. And I think it's also important for us to remember that we don't have to be on all day to be good moms. Sometimes we just can't. There are just things that we feel like, I just can't read this book right now. I just can't. I need to sit on the couch for a few minutes. I can't entertain my child. Like, we don't have to be doing that all day long to be good moms. It is okay to have your child just go off and read by themselves, go play a game by themselves. It's actually really good for them. It's good for kids to feel bored and to be able to find things to do. That's good for their brains. And it's okay for us to feel overwhelmed and to also be able to shift some small moments every day into real connection with our kids. So what is one small way that you can connect with your child today that is just fully about joy and presence and is not about tasks? Especially if you are listening to this and realizing, oh, I'm also feeling the same way and I didn't realize it. What is one way that you can connect with your child based around joy and presence? If you start to do this for yourself with your child and would like to share how it worked or things that you did, or if you did anything differently that you felt was really helpful that I could share in a future episode, please let me know. Connect with me on Instagram or email. Both are in the episode description. And I think that's all I have for today. And I will see you next week. Thank you so much for listening to the Mom Your Way podcast. You can help support the podcast by taking a minute to rate and review it or share a favorite episode with a fellow mama. Visit laurenlasalle.com for free resources, information about my programs, and to join my email list. You can connect with me on Instagram at @IamLaurenLasalle or email me at lauren@laurenlasalle.com. See you next week.